Because like I said, creativity has seasons. Some days we are blossoming and we are in full expression. And other days we are resting. And both are sacred. You want to be singing again, writing again, maybe even recording your songs, but you can't seem to find your rhythm. You know, life gets busy and your energy comes and goes, and before you know it, another week's gone by without touching your music. And even when you do make time, you're not sure what to practice or where to begin. Well, this episode is for the artist in the in-between, the one who longs to create but keeps waiting for the right moment. What if the rhythm you're looking for isn't about doing more, but about moving with the season you're in? Welcome to Reawaken Your Voice. Are you tired of pushing aside your desire to sing, only for it to resurface again and again? Hey, I'm Lainey, voice and creativity coach, singer and songwriter. If you're ready to rediscover the freedom of creative expression, free from judgment, doubt, comparison, and fear, then grab that notebook full of ideas. It's time to give voice to the songs in your heart. Let's sing. Before we dive in, I'm so excited to share something that I've been working on behind the scenes. Now, if you've listened to the previous episodes in this series, then you will have heard about it already. And by the way, if you haven't listened to the other to episode 3, where are we now? If you haven't listened to the rest of this vocal breakthrough series on the podcast, go back and listen to episode 1, episode 2. I think we're on episode 3. Yes, we are. But my vocal breakthrough sessions are now open. This is a one-on-one coaching experience designed to help you release fear, reconnect to your sound, and finally start singing from a place of freedom. So if you've been dreaming of writing, singing, recording your own songs, but you feel stuck in that perfectionism, that self-doubt, this is for you. You can learn more and book your session at reawakenyourvoice.com/coaching. Now let's talk about what it really means to find your rhythm. Now, I've been thinking a lot about this episode while living it myself, because I am in a new season of creativity. You know, we go through these cycles. So as I emerge from the fresh out of postpartum kind of phase, my son is almost 5 months. So I realize I need to redesign or reimagine what my creative practice looks like now. So lately I've been in this phase of focusing on my songs again, not just my voice, not just getting back into singing after having a baby, but into writing again and moving into that more creative, expressive season. So that means, you know, like I've talked about in the previous episodes of this series, this vocal breakthrough series, I've been, plugging in the cables and putting all my recording gear together, opening up the DAW. I've been creating new warm-up practices that are more geared towards songwriting and clearing out the clutter from my creative space. I bought a new journal and some new pens. That is like the best feeling. So as I made room for this new season, I realized I have been here before. I've been here time and again, where I'm moving into a new creative season or a new phase of the creative process. And, there needs to be some shifts, some changes, some new ways of looking at my creative routines, rituals, practices as a vocal artist. And it just reminds me that finding your voice isn't just a one-time breakthrough. It's a relationship. And finding your rhythm, finding your creative flow, that's something we do over and over again as artists, as creatives. It comes in seasons. I used to beat myself up for the quiet seasons, for the times I felt more disconnected from my voice and my music and my creativity. But over the years, I've realized how very important those times are to the creative process. Like, they are essential parts of the creative process. So as you build a creative practice to fit your life, this isn't about perfect consistency. It's more about making space, physically, emotionally, creatively, making space for your voice to live again. So recently, there have been days where I felt in flow, where I was just hearing these melodies coming through with such ease. And then there were others where I just started and stopped, and I started to record and then thought, this doesn't feel right, something's off here, and stopped. Some days where I wanted to get to it and I didn't. Other times when it showed up out of nowhere and I flowed with it. But all of those moments, even the false starts, even the pauses, the quiet moments, all of these are part of the rhythm too. Because like I said, creativity has seasons. We naturally feel this as we move through the creative process. Some days we are blossoming and we are in full expression. And other days we are resting. And both are sacred. So I want to share with you 3 steps, maybe they're tips, 3 tips to find your rhythm and build a creative practice that flows with your life. One that accounts for the seasons, the days we're blooming and the days we are resting. Number 1, redefine practice. You don't need to sing every day to have a singing practice. And you don't need to write every day to have a songwriting practice. That just feels like such permission. It feels so good. Because I used to think that I had to have perfect conditions. I had to have the perfect practice room. Back in my opera days, I was practicing multiple times a day. But, I had the practice room set up with the perfect acoustics, and yet it felt so rigid. And so as I moved out of that opera phase of my life and into making my own music, I started by trying to apply that operatic rigidity or, my classical training to where, okay, I have to warm up a certain way and set aside the same time every day and do an hour every day and do it in this order. And when I didn't do it that way, I'd beat myself up and say, what happened to my discipline? I guess I'm not a real musician anymore. But as I let go of the pressure and allowed myself to redefine what practice looked like for me in each season of my life since then, it has been such a breath of fresh air and like an exhale. Because what matters is returning again and again in whatever way that fits into your life. You know, the other day I had a melody that was just buzzing in my ear. And so I picked up my phone and I recorded it on voice memos as I was walking my baby around the house. Because sometimes all he wants is to be held. So I don't have arms most of the time. But, you know, I get it. Don't we all just want to be held sometimes? But so I could hold on to him and hold on to the phone and push record on the voice memos and just record this melody. And for that day, that counted. That was my creative practice. So even humming in the car or journaling some lyrics real quick before they flow out of your brain, or recording voice notes, all of these things count. This counts toward your creative practice because it's about connection, staying connected to your voice, staying connected to your creativity as you move through your day, as you move through your week. So what does that look like for you? You know, it'll look different in different days, but notice when these little moments occur, that counts. So it could look like humming while you stretch your body, journaling about your creative blocks, or just improvising freely. It's important to release the guilt of inconsistency because your practice can ebb and flow with your life. There is such freedom there. Number 2, design a rhythm that matches your season. And I mean this by your creative season and the season of life that you're in, which, you know, they kind of go together in a way. But your creative life has seasons. There are times of expansion. There are times of rest and reflection and times of expression. And some of these are longer than others. Some of them are shorter than others before you move into the next one. You know, sometimes you'll be just journaling and healing. Sometimes you will be seeking that inspiration, and other times it feels like it has gone dormant. Sometimes you'll just be listening and replenishing. The key here is to flow with your life rather than resist the season you're in. So in designing a rhythm that matches your season, consider, you know, what are your essentials? Maybe for singing, you can focus on warm-up essentials like lip trills, humming, you know, gentle vocal sirens. There have been times where that's really all I do is, you know, just playing with my voice really gently in the cracks of the day. Maybe your creative practice essential is, you know, writing a page in your journal every day of just free flow. Maybe it's singing along to your favorite artist in the car, like on the commute. Or maybe you have a melody that comes to you and you just record 1 minute of that idea. So think about what are the essential pieces of your creative practice for the seasons that you don't have much time, you just have a few minutes. And what does it look like when you go deeper? The key here is to stay connected through it all. Stay connected to your voice, your creativity. But whatever amount of time you have, and whatever that looks like, maybe you balance it with half of the time on skills, developing your skills, working on your vocal technique, learning a new musical skill. And then half of the time you devote to creative exploration. It's all about knowing yourself and your artist within, your creative spirit, knowing that part of you deeply enough to understand what feels essential, what parts do you love, what's an easy way for you to stay connected throughout your day. And then knowing what that looks like in different seasons of your creative process and in different seasons of your life. So look at what season you're in right now. Look at what feels doable, what feels accessible, and start there. Number 3, create a mini ritual for consistency. So I don't know about you, but to me, routines can feel rigid. And rituals to me feel sacred. They feel lighter, like there's less pressure. The same with discipline versus devotion. Discipline kind of creates tension in my body. There is that rigidity. But devotion feels alive and it flows. This is the free spirit creative in me. And there is a place for discipline and routines. Of course, don't get me wrong. But what we're trying to do here is take the pressure off. We're trying to get back to that space of creative play, of gentle awakening. And like I said, what's important here is staying rooted, staying grounded, staying connected to your voice and your creativity. So in creating a mini ritual, think of something you can do that will kind of signal to your voice that it's time to open. A deep breath, a stretch, a word, a note, a mantra, and then think about your anchor moments, meaning times that already exist in your day, like your commute, the shower, when you're making your morning coffee, and use those moments to awaken your voice gently. Maybe you have more time to set aside for this ritual, and you can add to it, light a candle, put on some essential oils, sit down at the piano bench, or take out your guitar, or start swaying and moving your body to create that heartbeat for your voice. It'll look different for everyone. But what I really love to do is light a candle or essential oils, depending on what I'm feeling in the moment. And then I pull out my harmonium And I sit on the floor on this like padded, plushy, velvety cushion thing I have. And I take that deep breath and I stretch my arms above my head and I stretch out my rib cage. Take that deep breath, open the heart, and I just start playing a drone on the harmonium. Just a single chord that is sustained. And when I'm ready, I open my mouth and allow my voice to show me the way. 5 minutes of just vocal improvisation with my harmonium in that cozy little space with no agenda, no judgment, just allowing my voice to open. And it's 5 minutes. And if I have more time, it's longer. I keep going. I move into other parts of my practice. Some of the more traditional vocal warm-ups. Maybe I'm working on a song. Or maybe I turn on a song that I love and I just dance and move my body to it. Whatever is called for in the moment. But it depends on how much time I have, Sometimes I don't have time to pull out my harmonium and put on the diffuser. So I just pick up the guitar real quick and do some finger picking. And maybe that's it. Maybe I don't even sing. But that is connecting me to my creativity and to my music. So think about what that looks like for you. Choose a simple daily or weekly ritual that connects you to your voice. It could just be breathing, gentle warm up in the morning in the shower. Or maybe you do like a Sunday reset, or creative reset. Be creative and follow your own creative voice to design this practice to fit your life in the season you are in right now. And the key is to start small. Just start where you are. I've found out the hard way that consistency grows from kindness, not criticism. Like I said, I used to beat myself up for not having the perfect practice session every day. And that didn't get me anywhere. It took me deeper into that perfectionism, self-doubt, judgment, fear, and further away from my voice and my creativity. So be gentle with yourself. Start where you are, start small, and create something that works for you, that feels good, that's exciting, something that lights you up, that's not so heavy with pressure, but more just light with the joy of creating for the sake of creating. So maybe this week you can light a candle, take one deep breath, and just sing whatever wants to come out. No agenda, just allowing your creative voice to come through. If this is resonating and you're ready to build your own singing and songwriting rhythm that fits your voice, your season, and your life, I would love to guide you through it in a vocal breakthrough session. You will walk away with clarity and confidence and a customized practice plan to reconnect with your voice. Because finding your rhythm isn't about discipline. It's about devotion. It's that difference between striving and pushing and forcing and allowing, opening. It's the difference between waiting for the perfect time and realizing that now is always enough. Your voice doesn't need more pressure and rigidity. It needs more presence so that you can build that relationship, build that trust in your voice, and stay connected from a space of joy and ease. You can learn more and book your vocal breakthrough session at reawakenyourvoice.com/coaching. So until next time, keep breathing, keep singing, keep creating, and keep coming home to your voice over and over again. Thanks for listening, friend. If this episode moved you or inspired you in some way, would you please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or share this episode with someone who's been praying for a vocal breakthrough? Until next time, keep nurturing that song in your heart. Lots of love.